good?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go back into open session.
Okay.
We were already in open session after we came out of closed session.
Well,
What?
I'm
Okay.
making my,
So we have the presentation by Victory Enterprises and Strategic Capital, and we have Matt Alsager and Steve Tilley and Tommy Robbins over here that are with both groups. So anyway, it's
Okay,
all yours.
well, first of all, thank you for taking time to hear our presentation and hear our thoughts and hear a little bit about us and how our vision for this contract and working with the county on economic development, business development services, as well as government relations. So again, Matt Alsager with Victory Enterprises.
And Steve Tilley with Strategic Capital Consulting.
So, if you want to go to the next slide. So who we are, so Victory Enterprises, we were founded in Davenport, Iowa, over 25 years ago. We have a national award-winning full-service media management and development firm. We have offices in 9 states, a team of very experienced, very driven professionals ranging from communications, corporate strategy, strategic marketing, message development, and business development. Our clients that we've represented over the past years have ranged from Fortune 500 companies, presidential campaigns, and statewide ballot measures, as well as statewide elected officials. And then I'll have Steve kind of give a little bit about Strategic Capital.
Sure. I founded the company in 2012. I had the privilege and the honor to serve in the Missouri General Assembly from 2004 to 2012. I was majority leader for 4 years. I was speaker for 2 years. We focus on governmental affairs and business development, and we're blessed with a broad and diverse client base ranging from Express Scripts, Anheuser-Busch, Tesla, Uber, the trade association that represents Ameren, Centene, Truman Presidential Library, all the way down to small developers and small business, including cities and counties. And so we've got experience in a broad base of issues, and we've got an expertise that we feel like delivers for those clients.
And so when we first started talking and seeing this opportunity, our two firms work together very, very well. As far as, Victory is really great at analyzing our clients and looking at the story that we want to tell. In this case, we want to tell the story of why you should locate to Cole County. As Steve mentioned, these are just a few of the clients that his firm has represented. Since we're a private entity, we can, be more than happy to talk about the companies that we have done if you have questions. So why are we here? When we look around since 2010 to 2017, we look at the neighboring communities and in their growth. Boone County, 9.6% increase. Callaway County, 1.6%, and Cole County, 1% increase. Now I realize that the counties are different in makeup. The counties are different in who they house. But at the same time, we feel that there's a huge opportunity that we can work with the assets that we currently have in this community, in this county, and really and look to move that needle. So how we move that needle is we think differently. We want to leverage our current assets. So, for instance, Lincoln University, HBCU, land-grant university. They have, in just one example, they've got a great aquaculture program. Last year I toured the University of Maryland and their aquaculture research center. So there should be a great opportunity to sit those two groups down and look at collaboration. And that's just one example. Lincoln also has a great the connection that they did with the link, the collaboration. They're not unopposed to sitting down, and it's just the whole thing. Let's think different. So the state trade associations, we house some of the groups that have statewide presence, national presence, and sometimes even global presence. One, for instance, is building a institute that is going to talk about all the benefits that the soybean industry has. So let's work with those groups and look at how can we better benefit. Looking at the demographics of Cole County, we got a lot of opportunity to grow in the agribusiness space that I can see. And since we house all of these great trade associations, let's work with them, collaborate with them, and sit down and just have those conversations. State government. State government has been a great resource for us in many, many different ways. One of the largest employers in town, the reason why our unemployment is low, and Steve will go into our vision on using and working with state government to grow our county. The state and governmental department heads are the cabinet members of the state. You know, we look at those and we have JCCC, so let's sit down and have meetings with the Department of Corrections and talk through what are ways that we can bolster JCCC. You know, what are ways that we can bolster the agribusiness community? What are ways that we can bolster economic development? But let's just sit down and have those conversations, be present, and talk through the assets that we have. And then looking at national, regional, and private partnerships. You know, are there ways that we can partner with our surrounding communities in projects that can help bolster, you know, the Boone County area, the Callaway County area, the Cole County area, because at the same time, we're all kind of surrounded in one. And then we want to look inward. We want to look at what we currently have, sit down with them, ask where can we grow, and really bolster that sort of growth. Our approach is different. We see this as a pie, if you will. So you have different areas. So you have the economic, business development outreach, you have strategic marketing, you have government relations. All three of those have to work together in order to succeed. We have to understand what we currently have. We have to tell the story, and we have to be present at the table, because more deals are done in the state capitol than anywhere else. That's where everyone is represented, and Steve will go into that and how they've been successful in the past. So strategic marketing. First, what we look at is analyzing the county's unique assets. Second, we would develop a marketing plan, including a splash page, meaning we would drive traffic to a one page on why Cole County is here, why we're better, why you should locate here, and then develop the unique marketing materials that we can distribute out, talking about the great assets that we have, and tell our story. And then third, look at creating some digital content for distribution that we can share on social media, since that traction that we can get is huge. With our team's award-winning digital department is a great way to kind of look at how can we be different.
To supplement what Matt was just talking about, whenever I was on my way up here, I began to reflect on the last 8 years of service and then 6 years of lobbying, and you start to think of all the little different communities and counties and entities that lobbied for you, and lobbied for you or lobbied you as an elected official, and just like to name a few, small counties, towns like Wildwood, Arnold. These are all people that have lobbyists, and I began to think, is there any county or municipality in the state that needs a lobbyist more than Cole County? And so you start talking about St. Louis, Kansas City, Jackson County, St. Louis County. And to be honest with you, none of those are in need of a lobbyist more so than Cole County. And you ask, why is that? Because there's no county that is directly or indirectly more dependent on state government than Cole County. When there is a layoff or a shrinkage of state workforce, Cole County is affected most. When there is a change in fee structure to state employees, Cole County is affected most. So even though it isn't the largest county in the state, it's certainly the most dependent on it. And it kind of dovetails, and I won't rehash all the things on the slides, because obviously what a lobbyist does is identify the needs and the desires and advocates for things that you're supportive of, and obviously fights against things that could be detrimental to the county. But it certainly dovetails directly into economic development. And let me give you an example. Are you guys familiar with the NGA project that's in North City? It's currently in South City. There was a bid process. It potentially was going to move to Illinois, thanks to the help of Roy Blunt and the legislative leaders. It's going to stay in St. Louis. It's a $2 billion project, several thousand jobs. But my point to it is what you're going to see beyond the $2 billion and several thousand jobs around that site. You're going to see hundreds of millions of dollars invested in companies that are going to be supportive of NGA. And why is that? Because NGA issues $1.5 billion of contracts yearly. And so what companies will do is they want a piece of that pie, and so they'll move to St. Louis to support those contracts. And one thing I don't believe that Cole County has done a good job of is the Office of Administration here yearly issues hundreds of millions of dollars of RFP contracts. Well, those are all public information. There's no reason why we shouldn't, with the governmental affairs team and the economic development team, to reach out to the companies that are receiving RFPs and then make the case of why Cole County is a good place for them to be, to service the contracts. So that's just one example. Anytime you look at a big company that's looking at expanding, almost always the first discussion is with their governmental affairs team of where would be a location, where politically can we get it done, where might there be the best incentive programs to get it done. So I think integrating, and to echo what Matt said earlier, is kind of a three-pronged approach where all parts are working together. I think having a governmental affairs team that works with your economic development team is pivotal to making sure it's effective. And it works.
We won't let her have a clicker.
So, and this is just, this slide really kind of identifies kind of what Steve is saying. So the way that our two firms work is we look at, as I said, we look at, you know, what story can we tell, develop that into marketing materials, and then Steve's team works the government side, and we both work on the business development of getting in front of those businesses, casting as many lines as we can. But we got to have the story to tell. We got to have the assets that we can highlight, and we have to look inward on this. On the community relations portion of it, you know, it's all one. You know, this is a great. I moved here in 2006 and met my wife here, and just have always loved this community. So being an advocate about the community and wanting to grow the community is huge. One with, you know, bolstering the relationships with the state offices and state officials, which Steve's team on the government relations side will do. Is supporting, you know, the current programs that are already going, and it's being an advocate to continue being a champion and a partner and working with the city and chamber. All of those partners have to work together in order for any of us to grow. So our budget with marketing, public relations, government relations, and business and economic development boils down to $10,000 a month. That can be either monthly, quarterly, or annually. But if awarded, we can work through that. So why us? You know, why take a look at us? Why listen to us? It's because really three things. We're different, we think differently, we're highly aggressive, we're very motivated, and it's really just kind of outside the box thought process. We're efficient. You know, we're delivering more services at a lower cost, maximizing the taxpayer dollars. And at the end of it, we're visionary. And you know, I live by the principle is didn't do anything. And I am more than happy, I'll use the fishing analogy, that let's throw as many lines out there, but at some point we will get them into the boat. But we gotta cast them. We gotta look forward. We gotta think outside the box.
Yeah, and you know, I think you know, I'm proud of the clients that I represent, and I would encourage you to call any of them and ask them if we've been a good return on investment and we've been effective for them, and that's any of them, period. Because our firm is based on results, and I think we do that. Now, I've never sat in those seats as commissioners, but I certainly have sat in a similar seat as an elected official, and I understand the challenges that you guys face and, you know, the responsibility of your constituents and being a good steward of the taxpayer dollars. And I can tell you, I believe that our proposal gives you the best bang for the buck and will give you the best results at the end of the day. I'm completely confident of that. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I think one question I had, and we had the addendum to it, was about the marketing materials, and you kind of touched on that. What additional costs do you see there being with that? I mean, how much, I guess a splash page, you're gonna have to have somebody host it, printing the material and stuff.
So
Is it minimal, or what do you see?
it would really kind of depend on scope of work. I will tell you that our firm is a full service, so we do everything from consulting to media management to digital work and also printing. So having that kind of approach, we give our clients a great service as far as cost goes.
Okay.
So I guess to answer your question is, depending on the,
Yeah. I was
the,
kind of figuring that's about what it would be.
Yeah.
Depends on where we want to go with it.
So what are you gonna do differently for economic development than what we're doing now? I mean, how?
Sure. I'll give you a couple examples. One, we work with a group in DC who represents all Fortune 500 companies, both internationally and nationally. And they called us and they wanted to they represent an online retailer. And they wanted to look at going into 3 communities in Iowa. So what we did was, since we have a heavy representation in Iowa, we worked with all the municipalities ranging from the city officials, county officials, and their economic development folks to sit down and have a conversation about this online retailer wanting to come and work with their small businesses. That's just one example. Second example is, our firm handled a very large acquisition in the Midwest, and so what we did is we provided the entire ground game as far as working with the local municipalities, working with the local leaders, and in that, as Steve mentioned, anytime that these companies look to expand, look to relocate, they always sit down with their GR people because they want to talk about the political climate of those communities. So, one, having Steve represent you all on the lobby side, you indirectly have a seat at all of his clients' tables. So it's working with them, knowing that we know the assets, we know exactly where we want to go. But first of all, we want to sit down with you all and say, what do you guys want? Where do you see this going? And work with the county, work with the city and chamber to have the holistic approach. So how will we approach it? As Steve mentioned, working through Office of Administration and looking at the different RFPs that happen. Looking at a regional approach. So that's sitting down with the folks in Boone County. I know that the Port Initiative and Port Project, you've worked with Callaway County. You've done those before. So does that answer your question?
Well, I'd like to expand on it, Commissioner. One, we'd like to identify what you're doing and what you think's working and what's not working. I mean, to boil it down, if you think what you're doing is working very, very well, then there's no reason to change. If you feel like it's not working very, very well, and maybe you're not getting the best return on investment, then you've got to change what you're doing. So I'd want to identify, sit down and visit with what you're doing. I certainly think being aggressive with the OA makes sense. I certainly think identifying the large employers, not just my clients, but luckily with what I do, if I don't represent them, I know somebody that does, okay? And we can take a look at all the statewide employers and just make sure that they're aware of Cole County, what you have to offer, and the benefits of coming here if they choose to grow. Okay, so I think it's looking what you're doing, identifying what's working, see if we can do it better, and what's not working, see if we can bring additional tools to the table to make sure that Cole County succeeds.
And really, we just want to be present. I was at the state fair, and they were been talking about just the different the tools at the table, and really using what we have. And that's, the state government is one of them. But it's also looking beyond that, looking at, as Steve said, what you're doing and what you want to do differently.
And I would tell you, I think you guys have a fantastic delegation in the General Assembly, that if something is needed, that we can work with them, whether it be TIFs or incentives or whatever you guys choose to do, we certainly can work with them because you do have a good delegation. I mean, it's you know, you had the majority leader of the Senate who did a fantastic job. That's now your lieutenant governor. You're gonna, you know, but you traditionally bring great people to the Capitol that I had the pleasure to serve with, and I'm sure working with them in any capacity that would be needed would be welcomed.
Got any questions? So, anything else, Jeff?
No, I think that's all I got.
Well, thank you for your time. We
Yeah.
appreciate the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Thank you. Are we done then?
I think we-
Besides, we got a closed session. I thought, somebody said 11:15 or something was when
I
he
think
was
it's
gonna be
Jill.
free.
Yeah, I think it's Jill. She can check with,
She said he wasn't gonna be available till 11:15.
okay. I've got some mail that I've received, so I'll go over that. This is from Dr. Ludi to the dear commissioners. I want to express my heartfelt thanks for the recent recognition and presentation of the signed and sealed News Tribune article. See Jeff, the recognition from the MEMSA was quite an honor and totally unexpected. If not for the support of the Cole County EMS staff and Capital Region Medical Center, it would not have been possible. I truly appreciate your efforts to support the service. I believe the service is headed in the right direction and will become an example for all other EMS services in the state. I have truly been blessed in my life, and words cannot express the gratitude in your commitment to both CCEMS and my tenure as medical director. I look forward to continuing to work with the staff at CCEMS and with the Cole County Commission. The county is in good hands with your service and dedication to its citizens. Sincerely, Charles J. Ludi, D.O. Got this. This is actually addressed to Mayor Turgeon, but it's from Natural Resources.
Still in her mail.
It came to me. Yeah, I was CC'd.
You filibustering here? or
Yeah, Woodlawn, Old City Cemetery at 1022 and 1000 East McCarty was listed in the National Register of Historic Places on July 23rd. So that's that. We have an invitation, which I asked you guys if you wanted to go to. It is September 12th in the Hall of the House of Representatives, reception and auction of the exclusive Capitol Art prints to follow in third floor rotunda. It's $500 per guest, so,
I can only afford to go to ham breakfast auctions.
okay.
That's about the extent I get for quilt auctions.
That is all I have. Sure. Yeah, if you want to go to that, yeah.
What is that other closed session? That what you're checking on?
Yeah, it was legal.
Legal.
Yeah.
Hey, the judge is not gonna be here till 11:15.
It's fine.
Right, recess and,
Stand in recess till 11:15.
yeah.
Okay. Maybe we stand in recess till 11:15.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hey, Randy.
You know, they have that achievement award